currently just in my living room at my house. South Carolina, Anderson.
As the less legal but nevertheless equally accepted physical violence committed against the brave few who managed to overcome the previous political challenges. In 1965, many legal restrictions became illegal, and millions of Black people, freed of their roadblocks, began voting. The Jim Crow era was finally over. That the electoral process be managed by an independent and impartial election authority. Suffrage, which is just the right to vote of a person or group of people, or a practice that has the effect of preventing a person exercising the right to vote.
Starting with voter purging, closing voting locations, absentee ballots, provisional ballots, and strict voter ID laws. Voter purging is needed in case the voters are no longer alive, no longer live in the state that they previously voted in, or have somehow lost their right to vote. Well, in some cases, the government incorrectly uses this voter purging law and gets rid of voting ballots of people who are still living and haven't violated anything to lose their right to vote. This is not okay because it's canceling votes of people who are actually living and people who actually deserve to have a say in their country, and they're losing their votes for no reason because the government is irresponsibly using voter purging. Okay, so the next one is closing voting locations. The first reason is because of not enough funding, and they don't provide enough money for the voting ballots to stay open so they have to close. That's ultimately leading to less voting locations and longer waiting times, which people can't just sit out and wait to vote because they have families to attend to go prepare meals for, to get them from school and so on.
Presidential election, we saw how important absentee ballots were, where basically people who can't make it out to the voting locations, they mail in their votes. And due to the pandemic, a lot of people use absentee ballots. But we found that there's a large discrepancy in absentee ballots and there's possibility for error. So according to recent statistics, we found that 67,286 people filed a change of address request with USPS, and that 34,222 people found that election mail was returned as undeliverable. These votes are crucial because these votes are often from people who can't make it out in rural locations. The next slide is strict voter ID laws. This is also really important because we found that 270,000 registered voters don't have a driver's license or a state ID on file, and especially in urban populations in areas with low socioeconomic status, such as in Atlanta.
So when voter registration is opt-out instead of being opt-in, it reduces the restricted nature of voter ID laws. As of 2018, automatic voter registration was projected to increase the percentage of people who are registered to vote. It was supposed to register over 57 million Americans, which would greatly increase the percentage of people who are actually registered to vote. And the second thing is reaching out to high schools for juniors and seniors and encouraging them to register to vote. Regions with significant histories of voter discrimination get federal approval from the Department of Justice federally to make sure that they're not having discriminatory practices. Georgia is a really good example of a region that has history of voter disenfranchisement because of Jim Crow and other disenfranchising policies like that. However, the U.S. Supreme Court in 2013 struck down this coverage formula and left it up to Congress to draft a new one. And so in order for all of these people to be able to vote again, we need to re-expand the Voting Rights Act. Voting disenfranchisement is a very complicated issue, but there are certain solutions as long as they're expanded that can help this issue. Thank you.